about Outland?
Oh, yeah.
Ready?
All right,
Just about 10 seconds, we should be all set.
About Outland?
Oh,
Okay. Jeff, you ready?
yep, I'm ready.
I got one little spiel to read. You should be all set.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. This meeting is of the City of Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals. Is a virtual meeting as authorized by New York Executive Order number 202.1. The public is participating via Zoom. The meeting has been advertised on the city's website, and we are going to be live streaming it on YouTube as well. It's being recorded and will be made available shortly after ending as well on the City of Glens Falls YouTube page. If you wish to participate by making a statement or asking a question, please wait until the moderator opens the meeting for public comments. You should raise your hand until you receive a text stating that you'll be called upon in the order in which you've signaled the meeting administrator. So with that, let us begin. Jeff, go ahead. Thank you.
Great. Well, welcome everybody to the April 19th, 2021 Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First order of business are the minutes from our, let's see, it would have been February meeting. Is that right, Ed?
That's correct. The March meeting was not held.
Yeah. Like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the February meeting. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
All right. Thank you, Dan. All those in favor, we'll do a roll call. Allison,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and Matt.
Aye.
And I vote in affirmative. Motion carries. First order of business is area variance 21-0012 MB property development, tax map 303.13-17-15.1, commonly known as Cherry Street. Is there somebody here, the applicant or someone representing the applicant here?
Hi, Matthew Abrams.
Hi, Matt. So this is a, thanks for being here this evening, by the way. This is a request for a side yard setback on a, I think it was the originally in the, I want to say the September meeting, we had approved an easement on the minimum lot size and the width to subdivide the parcel. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how wide is the parcel now? Is it, how many feet?
As it sits right now, the parcel is 57.5 feet.
57.5 feet, all right. And the house you're putting on, you're looking to get 7 feet on each side where it should be 15?
So what we're looking for is to match the characteristics of a single family home in that it's 1B residential, single family residential, which is right behind us, which would reduce the setbacks from 15 feet to 8 feet. I think we're looking for a 7-foot relief.
And when you originally proposed this, had you not, I mean, what's the difference? I'm surprised that you didn't ask for this when you first came to the zoning board back in September. What's changed?
That's a great question. What my colleague is on as well, Brian Brock. So when we sat down and took a look at the footprint of the house became very, very narrow, and it doesn't really blend in with the characteristics with Cherry Street right now. So our concern was that with the setbacks that are provided right now, that the house would look very squatty, and trying to get the relief to make sure the house can extend out a little bit more. And honestly, it was overlooked at the first application, unfortunately. So.
What was the relief we granted on the first application? It was for parcel size, but does anyone know how much relief we granted?
Allison, I have the resolution. So it was granted at the September meeting,
Mhm.
and it was an area variance to minimum lot size. It was just minimum lot size.
That's
It was,
correct.
yeah, lot size and the width, I thought. But I don't have what it
But there
was.
there were no setbacks at that time requested.
What we're trying to do is try to stay within, we appreciate the approval. We were trying to stay within those original setbacks. And we did a little bit more research and looked at some of the characteristics around the neighborhood. There's a lot of houses that seem to be tucked a little bit closer. So then that opened up the conversation piece of, hey, with this being a single family and not multifamily, could we fall into the guidelines of the lesser setback? So I think the 15 required now. What we were looking for is to go with 8-foot setbacks, which is reflected in the site plan we sent over. There's a big red box around it. What we're trying to stay within that footprint, or we would stay within the footprint. And we left some room on the site plan to show that we could gravitate towards the subdivided lot, the parking lot if needed, as well as to account for any roof overhangs.
Do you have, see, I'm trying to see the drawing I have in here in your application. Do you have any other drawings that you could share or show? With a little more description as to what this would look like?
As far as so in the application,
Yeah, with anything, you've got the parking lot. I know one of the things we had talked about with the parking lot, there's going to be a fence put up. I'm just looking to see, kind of get a concept of what the parcels look like. I don't know whether you have anything like that.
so I'll try to do this on my phone rotate. Oh, it's going to rotate. Hold on one second. All right, so I'll try to zoom in. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, it's a little out of focus.
Is it? So that's currently how, I'm trying to hold that steady if I can. Currently how the lot was subdivided out.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, that had it actually.
So we're still planning on putting some type of fencing up around the parking lot, and then there'd be a visual buffer between the vacant or the parking lot and the proposed single family lot. All right,
All right, thanks.
got it. We also included a rendering of what we're envisioning the house looking like for characteristic wise as well in that application. So try to keep a good balance. You know, we were looking at it, and again, unfortunately, it was overlooked in the first application, but trying to keep a good balance and play off the other characteristic. The houses have other characteristics like that as well down the street. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a sense of the lot widths that are on the rest of Cherry. It looks similar to what's proposed.
If I can share my screen, I have Warren County GIS up, and
Oh, great.
most of the lot sizes are between, it looks like 50, 53, 56. So they're all around the same. But
when we did our original application, we had a couple examples of lot sizes as well as width.
Hey, Peter, is Allison able to share her screen? Is that on? for others to share?
Looks like it's off right now.
I have my audio on. I'm going to make you the host.
Okay,
And so you can share, you'll have all those, but you need to give it back to me when you're done, okay?
I will.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so it looks like the subdivision is just going to go straight down from this dog leg. So according to this, it's about 57.95. And if I zoom out a little, that's too much. You can see, you know, directly adjacent is 53, then 50. Across the street, we have 56 and 50.
Yeah, so I would guess, and Allison, I don't think you can tell from this, but 15-foot setback for side yard probably isn't observed in a lot of these houses.
It does not appear to be that way, no. Let's see, I have a little distance measuring. Pool's not working very well. Oop. Well, that one, but doesn't appear to be on the other side.
Yeah,
That's a short one.
yeah.
So some do maybe on one side. Yeah.
Is the plan with this house, will you, you're gonna put it in the middle so it's an equal relief on each side, or where's the location on the lot are you planning?
So per that site plan, what we're looking to do is yeah, pretty much try to center it on the site so it's equal distance, giving some buffer from both properties. Try to get back to So right now, that red box around the site plan, hopefully yours is in color, is 8 feet. Is a minimum 8 feet. So we show the house. There's a little flexibility in there, and we're still maintaining the front and the back.
Any other questions from the fellow commissioners?
My only observation is that, at least in my neighborhood, it seems like 8 feet is the norm in most cases. Where the zoning gets the 15-foot rule does not, in my opinion, even really match our town. So it just seems odd that we have this rule that doesn't seem to be being observed anywhere. So.
And to that point, if you look at the zoning map, the neighborhood directly behind the street is R1B, if I'm reading that correctly, which is 8. The houses directly behind it are R1B, where it's 8 feet. It is a little cut up the zoning, but it does seem to fit. It doesn't make a lot of sense in looking at the map. Are there any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners?
Sorry, I do wonder, what was the answer to the question? Is it being centered? Is the house being centered on the lot?
Yes, we're trying to do that. There's a existing curb cut that we're trying to marry up to, and trying to keep that in place so that it's not too off. It is off-centered a little bit. But
Is there any way to bring it away from the neighbor?
it favors, it actually favors to the, what do you want to call it, to the north of the property already. So I think we get a little close. When we laid it out on the site plan, can see that. You can get the,
Yeah.
you can see it's kind of offset. The house is center, but the curb cut is kind of offset to line up with that garage.
Gotcha. Now, the Southworths, who I know you wrote a letter, are they to the north?
Go to the south.
They're to the south.
That would make sense. Okay.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
Could I just make a couple of comments, Jeff?
Yeah, sure, please.
So, I generally agree with the notion that 15-foot setback, in a lot of instances in this district, doesn't really apply. But in consideration of the neighbors to the south, which I'm not sure if they're on the Zoom right now, have the building shift further to the north because that parking lot, that remaining parcel is basically undevelopable. So on one hand, yeah, it's great that we can center it and offset the 8 foot on either side, but there could be a scenario where if it's shifted further away from the adjacent property owner and maybe you don't get the full 15 feet on that one side, at least there's a little more relief provided. That could be an option. And I think just characteristically, in my point of view, this to me, and this doesn't really matter for the variance request, but the proposed architecture to me is almost squatty. When you look at the parcel dimensions and the narrow width within the neighborhood, all the houses, and this is true of Glens Falls, a lot of houses in Glens Falls, they're more long and narrow versus wide and square, which that's what this proposal is showing. Again, to me, that's not really relevant to the variance request, but it's just an observation that this house doesn't really match the same proportions within the neighborhood. That's just my take on it. So just wanted to offer that up.
Are there any questions or comments further before we open it up to the public? If none, and we can certainly come back to it, but if there's anybody from the public out there comment, I think you raise your hand and Peter can get your microphone live.
I see no one from outside. Oh, there you go. Patty Southworth, go ahead.
Hi, can you
Start over.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I have talked to Matt about what he's planning to do on the side prior to him mentioning that with the change of the variance. We're concerned with the house being closer to us. Parking, like I wrote in my letter, is a nightmare here. Traffic is a nightmare. We're very close to Dix Avenue and you add a house, more parking and whatnot. I guess the main thing is changing it from 15 feet variance to 7. You're getting very close to us.
And you're at 75 Cherry Street.
We're 75 Cherry Street, yes.
The neighbors.
I think the applicant is looking for a 7-foot relief that will make it 8 feet. I mean, not that it makes a huge difference, but just to,
Yeah, I mean, you're saying some of these houses are 8 feet, but we're 15. You just showed with the house next to us, almost.
In there, I'm gonna probably get there Wednesday night.
What's that?
But I'm gonna try to get there early, so I can get a trip to you. If I don't, I'll throw up the suitcase and ship up my car, but I'm pretty sure I'll get there Wednesday night early enough.
Could I just ask that all participants who are not speaking mute themselves? We're getting a lot of background noise.
I was gonna mention that, Allison. Thank you.
I mean, we were against, we were against the project to begin with, and you passed it. We accepted that, fine. But this, we really would not like it cut down as much as he's proposing.
Okay, thank you. I think somebody did raise the question, in order to provide a little more distance to the southwest house on 75, would this house, would you be able to shift it a little further north? And would the board want to condition, if the board was inclined to grant a variance, condition that on moving the footprint of the house to the north and so I think the requested relief is 7 feet. Maybe make that less. Is there an opinion of the board with doing something like that?
I agree. I'm not sure how exactly that looks, but I agree with that.
I also agree with that. I think that's fair.
If Jeff, if you were going to put that in the resolution, I would just clarify that that change only affects the south setback, if I'm understanding correctly.
Right.
I think we should be specific. What are we going to allow? A 10-foot setback as opposed to a 15-foot to the south? And then we need to be,
Yeah.
Furthermore, are we granting that additional relief to the north to make it a 6-foot setback as opposed to an 8-foot?
We would be amenable to that. I mean, I think in the essence of just working together, if we could get a 10-foot setback to the south, and then however we need to amend it to the north, we're happy to do so.
Yeah, it would be
10
nice
feet sounds fair to me.
if we could find a way to make this work. That would be if the concern is being as close on the south to 75, then moving it to the north. In terms of a setback, I think, Patty, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so what we're discussing is potentially not granting the 8, but making it a little bigger. I think it would accommodate and give you more room between your house and this house. At least that's what the board is anticipating.
Well, I appreciate a 10-foot compared to a 7-foot or whatever it was, a lot less before. I mean,
Right. Any other discussion on this? Matt, did you have something to say?
So we would look for a 5-foot relief on the south side, going from 15 down to 10, and then adjust the north.
Yeah. So you, on the side yard setback on the north side, you'd need 9, is that? I'm sorry, no, that's not right.
If it were to be a 6-foot, yeah, a 9.
Yeah.
9 is the relief, yeah.
9, okay.
The applicant just asked for a 5-foot setback. Is that a 10-foot relief?
So it requires 15 feet. They'll place it at 10, so it would be a variance request.
10-foot
5 feet on the
relief
south.
on the south.
Yeah.
And if it helps for making 10 feet across the board, so it's equal, we're happy to do that too. So it's same relief on either side. We anticipated a 1-foot buffer between the requested setback in the edge of the house. So, so we had some wiggle room basically.
So it would be 5 feet on the north and south. Is the board thinking that would be agreeable?
I thought I heard them say they would be willing to do 10 feet on both. So the setback would be
yeah.
10 feet, so it would be a 5-foot
Relief
relief
on
on
each
both sides.
Yeah. For purposes of seeker, this is type 2 unlisted.
That's correct.
Let the record reflect that. Are there any other questions? All right. Any other folks from the public that want to comment on this?
There was no one in queue at this time, Jeff.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grant with a condition the application for area variance project identified as area variance 21-0012 MB property development, owner of tax map number 303.13-17-15.1, commonly known as Cherry Street. The condition or the relief granted will be the setback on the north and south end will be 10 feet. The requirement is 15, so the relief given is 5 feet on the north and on the southern end. Do not believe this will make an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, as it is similar in lot width to other homes. It doesn't appear that the benefit really could be achieved by any other methods. And the variance is not substantial, as it's only granting a 5-foot relief on each side. And I do not believe this will have a adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And while it is self-created, I think the benefits outweigh any difficulty that this is creating. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner McDonald. Commissioner Hargrave,
Aye.
Commissioner Rice,
Aye.
Commissioner Larson,
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative as well. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for the time tonight. Appreciate it.
Next up is area variance 21-0013, Norabel Greenberger and Russell Barnhart, owners of tax map number 302.19-2-33, commonly known as 64 Garfield Street. They're seeking a variance for 30-foot required rear yard setback. Is the applicant here to discuss their application?
I'm here.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit about the project?
Okay, I'm Gary McCullough. Can you hear me?
And are you representing the owners?
Yes, I'm the architect and I'm representing the owners for the project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to just describe the project?
Yeah, just kind of walk us through it, please.
Okay. So the property sits at the corner of Garfield Street and Cunningham Avenue. And as a corner property, it has 2 front yards. So there's a 25-foot front yard setback along both Garfield and Cunningham. And we have selected the side yard, 15-foot side yard setback to be on the driveway side of the house. And then on technically the rear of the house, the 30-foot rear yard setback. So the existing house, it was built in around 1920, and there's an enclosed porch on the rear of the house, which was built a little bit later than that. I'm not sure when, but if you look at the site plan that was prepared, you can see that basically the existing house is within every setback. The covered front porch at the front of the house and on the Cunningham side of the house is within the front yard setback. The porch and part of the kitchen that's on the driveway side is within that side yard setback. And the existing enclosed porch on the rear of the house is also within the rear yard setback. So there's no way to expand the property without basically getting a variance into one of the yard setbacks. So what we're proposing to do is expand the house with a two-story addition on the rear of the house. So the existing enclosed porch on the back of the house, which extends about 8 feet from the house and about 3 feet into that rear yard setback, would be removed. And we're proposing to put a two-story addition in roughly that location. It would be 10 feet from the edge of the house. And so that would put about a 5-foot relief into the rear yard setback. In addition, towards the Cunningham Avenue side, we would rebuild an enclosed porch along that corner of the house. So all of the addition is on the rear side of the house. And so what we're looking for is a relief of 5 feet into that rear yard setback. As a two-story addition to the house, we're proposing that it's not going to be above the existing ridge line of the house, so that for all intents and purposes, the front of the house and the side along Cunningham will, pretty much be unchanged, unaltered, in addition to the side of the house on the driveway side. So the addition is only on the rear of the house, and it will not come up any higher, we hope, than the existing ridge line of the house. So as such, it will be in character with the existing house and then with all the other houses in the neighborhood. And we don't believe that there's any adverse effect to the neighbor. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Did you do the existing work when that house was redone originally, the architecture work?
No, I did not. No, the house was renovated by the previous owners.
Okay.
It was all internal renovation work. I'm not sure when this enclosed porch on the back of the house was constructed, but it's not original to the house.
I drive by the house quite often, so I know it well.
Okay.
Have the property owners spoken to their adjoining neighbors to the north and the west about this? No.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have, and they are joining the meeting. And if you allow them to speak, they can talk to that.
Hi, and we have a little baby here, so I get interrupted. We did speak with both of our neighbors, and neither of them had any issue with the proposal.
It seems fairly straightforward. And the existing porch, as you said, is already encroaching upon the rear yard setback as it is.
That's correct.
I do not have any questions.
Yeah, none here. Seems straightforward.
Yep. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to comment on this application?
I see no one yet. There's no one in queue.
And for purposes of secret, Ed, this is type 2 unlisted?
That's correct. Type 2 unlisted. Well, sorry. It's type 2. It's not unlisted.
Oh,
So
not yet.
because it's type 2, you don't have to conduct the secret review.
Got it. All right. If there aren't any additional questions and no one else from the public, I would like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants the application for area variance, the project identified as area variance 21-0013 Norabel Greenberger and Russell Barnhart, owners of tax map 302.19-2-33, commonly known as 64 Garfield Street. On today's meeting, April 19th, 2021. This will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. It looks as if it will look very nice with the house and blend right in. There really isn't another feasible means to add on to their house the way it's situated on the lot. And this is a relief of only 5 feet, so it does not appear to be substantial. It will not have any adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. And while this may be self-created, it really doesn't preclude the applicant from going forward. So do I have a second on the motion?
I second it.
Commissioner Rice, thank you. Commissioner Hargrave?
Aye.
Commissioner Rice?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald?
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. The motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is area variance 21-0014. Janie Murray and Justin Murray, owners of tax map 302.12-24-4, commonly known as 17 Flandreau Avenue, seeking approval for lot coverage adjustment from 50% to 61.1 to put an addition on the back of the house. Is the applicant or someone representing the applicant here?
Hi,
Jamie, go ahead.
my name is Maggie Stein. I'm the designer for the Murrays, and I'm here with Janie and Justin Murray. Hello.
Thank you.
So currently, this is a existing 4-square style house on Flandreau Avenue. It has also an existing enclosed porch on the back that the Murrays would like to remove and replace with a larger addition that will give them a downstairs bathroom, a mudroom, and extension to their dining room by about 4.5 feet, and also an office / guest room so that they can have some extra space. And it's a 1-story addition. Also off of the dining area will be a door out to a new deck. So that's basically the scope of the project.
All right.
And so currently the coverage of the lot already exceeds the 50% with the existing porch on it and the footprint of the house and the existing garage, the existing porch. It is 2,211 square feet, which is 55% roughly. So the proposed would bring it up to 2,444 square feet, which would be the 61. So we're looking at about a 6% increase in coverage rather than, if they had 50% lot coverage and 11% increase.
And that house, I'm sure, existed before zoning was in place.
I'm sure it did.
Built in 1897.
Ed, is this anywhere near, I'm trying to think whether is the bike trail nearby or any?
Well, yes, it's nearby, but I don't know that it's I wasn't really able to measure if it's within the 500 feet of the bike trail.
I measured it on Warren County GIS and it looks to be 293 feet approximately. So we are within that 500 feet.
Okay.
Ed, I believe I sent this to the county and I copied you on it way back when it first came in.
Okay, great. Have you gotten anything back from the county, Chris? Okay.
I have not.
I didn't either. So if you were going to approve it tonight, Jeff, I mean, I would certainly condition it on anything from the county. What's your time frame on building?
We're hoping to have it started and finished this year.
It would probably be anywhere between, we'd say, July to October, that time period.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming
That's what
for.
we're aiming for.
Yeah,
Okay, it would be best then to take comment, get everyone's thoughts tonight and give the county the 30 days and then approve it at the May meeting if it's going to
Yeah.
be approved.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this seems pretty straightforward. I drove by the back in front of the lot today, and you know, the drawings were actually very helpful in picturing what it would look like. So thank you for providing those. I don't see an issue with approving this, but I'll certainly open it up to the other commissioners to comment on their thoughts.
I have no questions.
Yeah, none here.
We're all set.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we have to, the county has 30 days to comment on this, and we're still within that time period. So we will end up tabling this until our May meeting, once we hear back from the county. And if there's no issue at the county level, I would envision this passing without an issue. Is there anyone from the public on to comment?
I don't see anyone right now.
Okay.
There are no hands up and there is no other from the public that is queued up.
I just have a question. What 30 days from when are we talking? Did they receive, do you know?
Yeah.
Chris,
So
why?
it would be 30 days from when building and code sent them up. So
Okay.
maybe a couple weeks ago, Chris, you think?
It was, I believe, the day after it got dropped off in the office.
Okay. So probably another 2 weeks or so.
Yeah. And what we can do, I'll check to see, we have your applicant information, so we can, you know, if it'll probably come back with no comment, but we can certainly call you when we get it back and let you know what we hear. And do you have an email address that I could send it to? Because they usually email me their responses.
Are you ready?
Yep.
MURRAYJANEY@gmail.com.
Okay, this week I'll make a note to email my contact at the county just to confirm that's in their stack to review, and then we'll
That would have been the 8th.
get it back to you. They're usually pretty good about turning them around fairly quickly.
There was a changeover at the county, so they were a little confused when we dropped it off.
Yeah, the person we were dealing with before took another job, and I think they're looking to hire a few people.
I do want to just clarify, because there was a little, just the way it was stated was a little confusion. Just because we received the county decision and send it to you does not mean this board made a decision.
Right.
So we'll have to wait till the next meeting to make a decision on that.
Yes, good clarification. So that'll just indicate, when we send you the county, it'll just indicate that there's no surprises from the county, assuming that's the case. And then it would come in front of this board, but you've had the chance to hear the board's comments, and, you know, not to speak for the board, but it seems like there's no issues. So it would be a matter of the board actually taking the formal vote at the next meeting.
Do we have to do anything to apply for the next meeting? Or it'll just come up on the agenda?
It'll just come up.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table this until the next meeting, Ed.
Yes, but to the applicants, you should still log into the next meeting just in the off chance there's questions that come up.
Okay.
All right. With that, I'll make a motion to table area variance 21-0014. Applicants Jane Murray and Justin Murray, owners of tax map 302.12-24-4, commonly known as 17 Flendro Ave. Do I have a second to table that until the May meeting?
Second.
Second, thank you. Commissioner Hargrave,
Aye.
Commissioner Rice,
Aye.
Commissioner Larson,
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. The motion is tabled until the May meeting. Thank you. All right, last up on the agenda is area variance 21-0015, 70 Warren Street LLC, or 70 Warren LLC, owner of tax map number 303.17.18, commonly known as 80 Warren Street, is looking for a variance in the front yard setback to allow for the construction of a porch. And I think I saw Pete Hoffman out there. Pete, are you with us?
I am.
Great. Could you just tell us a little bit about the project you have envisioned here?
Yes, we purchased 80 Warren Street last year, and we have leased it out to a restaurant that would like to do some open air dining on the front patio. We're going to create a front patio with an overhead enclosure on a roof, open air sides, open air ironwork around the perimeter. We felt, and it's kind of important with restaurants today, with what's going on in the past year, that open air dining will help ensure their success. They're a very good operator, but we think, and they think, that the open air is key to it. The building has been used for the past 20 years as mailings made easy on Warren Street. The area I'm talking about parked cars in it. It was kind of an entrance to their building, and we're going to redo the entire building, entire parking lot. But this particular component had to go closer to the road. I think it's a 10-foot adjustment to the setback in the I might have it wrong, the G1 zoning, in the zoning that it's in, but we want to pull it up closer to the road, and landscape around it and so on. So we need relief from this board.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of there's the sidewalk, but then there's some concrete in front of the building, and that, I'm assuming that's where this would occupy that space.
Correct, Mr. Perner.
Certainly will add to the development going on there and bring up the look of Warren Street. So questions from the board?
Right now, there's a curb cut in front. Is that going to be removed? How do you plan to deal with that?
It's not really a defined curb cut. What they actually did was drove to the west of the building. There was a curb cut where they came in and parked their cars, and then they would drive onto it. So it's not really a curb cut in front per se, but it's but the cars would come through the parking lot and then drive onto it typically, but that we wouldn't be making any changes there.
Right. My only concern is you have people eating outside. You got the curb cut there. I mean, cars could come up if there's no curb. I don't know.
It'll be pillars and fencing, iron fencing, but there's no curb cut in front of the building. The curb cut was to the west of it, where we'll have the parking lot, where they've always had their parking between the two buildings. And then it was like a sea of concrete. I just redid 74 Warren last year, and the two buildings share the same parking lot. So it's going to be curbed off. Actually,
You're
we're
right.
doing,
No, I apologize. I was looking at the wrong building. I just realized I'm looking at 86.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at your drawings, it looks like you'll put in some sort of partition curb in between the parking areas. And
yeah,
the entrance will be to the west of where the dining would be. So it would be drawing the traffic away from where you're
to the
proposing.
west, to the west and to the north, if you would. So it's not entering right by the deck. We're putting a little greenscape area out in front of there to match what we did on 80, excuse me, on 74 Warren. We brought a little sodded area out there, and we're going to do the same thing with some vegetation and a little bit of planting. And we think it'll have a great look. Yeah. We own the property across the road as well, the 70 Warren Street Square, and the 65 to 73 Warren, which is the old post office, which will now be the Social Security Administration building.
Yeah, the drawings look, it'll really spruce that area up quite a bit.
I hope so.
By way of background for the board, the applicant was in front of the planning board earlier this month for this project and obtained site plan approval for the reconfiguration of the parking area that you see here, and then also underwent architectural review for the 80 Warren Street building, and both of those were approved. One of the conditions to the site plan being that the applicant obtained the variance that's being requested today. The other one, 74, Peter, I think it was 74 Warren Street. You were in front of the planning board a couple months ago for that one, if I recall.
Well, yeah, it was last year, Ed. It was we had gone through planning for that. We put a front entrance on that. We replaced an entrance with a new front entry and so on it, and the curb and vegetation. But we want to make this building as attractive.
The planning board was generally in favor of what's being requested here, but had to condition their approval on the variance since it was going to encroach.
Got it.
Can I just ask one question? So I'm obviously in favor of the project, but do you actually, Mr. Hoffman, do you actually have a site plan?
We do. We had presented that to.
Is that the Van Duzens and Steve's?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Does that show the footprint of your proposed expansion? Or is that only a survey?
It was a survey. I'm afraid.
I guess what?
It was a survey, but it did show where the cars are parking and so on. And I don't know. As I sit here, I don't know, but I know that they showed the curbed lot and so on it. And I don't know, sir, if they actually located this prior to. I thought they did.
Okay. So
I think they did, because there's four square pillars out in front. And if I recall right, it is on that plan, but I couldn't say that for 100% fact.
Hey, Chris, are you following any of this?
Yeah.
Is there a site plan that shows the limit of the awning? And the
I don't
pillars?
have it with it, but yeah, it was all part of what went to the planning board.
And does everyone on this call have that? Okay.
Ed, you would be the other one if has anything, and I didn't bring it home with me.
I'm looking to see what I have the site plan application, but I think this was an attachment to that. The actual application just has, I think it's the same drawing that you guys have, sheet S1. The profile of the plans, as I recall, showed it better. There's a side profile of the building. Oh, that is in your,
Megan, was that on what you emailed today or?
I
for
just
the
think,
architectural review, oh, maybe that was on architectural review. There is I mean, this is not a site plan, but this side profile from the architectural review shows where that's the awning coming out in front.
and I get that, but I mean, obviously every other applicant today had a plan that showed proposed condition in relationship to the property line. So I'm not hung up on it, but somebody should have a plan when they go to build this to make sure that it is within the proposed relief that we're approving.
Right, I see what you're saying, that tying the two together so that you're actually building on the right property and within this.
Current
Yeah,
building isn't within the setback though, is it, for the front? It's
not shown.
I mean, that's the relief we're talking about.
Well, I guess
There's the existing brick bump out that's there right now, and you can kind of see it right across from the J Street label.
so. This may be a question for Mr. Hoffman, as far as when you're looking at the plan that's shown right here, is this where it says 1-story building, is this the existing building or as proposed with
That
the
is,
awning?
that is the existing building.
Okay. So the awning would go into the area that's shown as concrete.
Correct.
so if I when I walked the property today, I'm trying to, if you could scroll back down where that pillar is on the awning, how
Yes.
far are those brick columns from the current sidewalk, the actual city-owned sidewalk?
5 foot back in.
Okay.
So it's 5 foot off the city line, which is, I believe the requirement is 15 feet.
So really, it's the overhang is the relief, right? Chris, Ed?
Yes, that's correct. The existing is grandfathered, so this would be to construct the overhang, which is basically, I understand it, a permanent fixture to this
Yes.
building.
That is correct.
Without the addition going out the front, that patio, he would not be in front of the board tonight.
Oh, can I just clarify? Can I just ask a question on that? The project description says a setback to allow for the construction of a porch, which will encroach on the minimum setback. Does not say awning. I just want to clarify what we're approving here, or what if we approve.
I think the awning is part of the porch. That structure coming forward is part of the patio or whatever coming.
Sure, that makes sense. I just want to be clear that it's not just the awning that's encroaching here. It's also the construction
To
of
the patio area, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Those pillars, ma'am, they come out to the drip edge to where the water would run off the roof right to the end. So it's from there back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other additional questions for Mr. Hoffman? Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this? And Ed, this would be seeker type 2?
It's still type 2 because it's just a setback.
Right. Any final questions for Mr. Hoffman?
So is this going to be a conditional approval with the submission of a actual site plan showing the proposed improvements in relation to the front yard?
We can certainly discuss that.
And I'm not saying back to us, I'm just saying submit it to Chris for his file.
You could, or even if you didn't put that condition on, it would still be on the applicant to get the surveyors out there and stake everything out to make sure that this is actually being constructed within the setback that is approved, if it's approved.
Which is normal procedure.
Yeah, so not telling you can't put that on there, but you'd be protected in any event if the applicant did not file the approval.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? I think, Chris, you just said that that's standard procedure, that what we grant here would be followed through on by your office to see that it was done in accordance with the variance that was granted, if I heard you correctly.
Yes.
Yep, okay. Any, I see there's somebody else on. Is there a comment or question or anything from the community, public?
Yes, I have a question.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Diane Pirelli, 17 Garfield, or sorry, 17 Chippy Street, Glens Falls.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was under the understanding it was going to be brought up again tonight about the fence.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're in the middle of another applicant right now, but we can certainly talk to that when we conclude this matter. If you have a comment on 70 Warren LLC.
no, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Okay. No problem.
Jeff, there's nobody in queue to comment on 71 right now.
Okay, so Diane, hold on for a moment. We'll conclude. If there's no other comments on this, I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants the application for area variance for the project identified as 70 Warren LLC, owner of tax map number 303.17.18, commonly known as 80 Warren Street. This would not create an undesirable change to the character to the neighborhood. In fact, it would enhance the development along Warren Street. The applicant really wouldn't be able to achieve this by any other feasible method. And while the variance is substantial, the front yard setback is 20 feet and what's being granted is 5 feet. So a relief of 15 feet. And while that is substantial, I think that outweighs the aesthetic benefit to the character of the neighborhood. This will not produce a physical or environmental negative impact in the neighborhood. And while it is self-created, it really shouldn't preclude this variance being granted. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hargrave. Commissioner Rice?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald?
Aye.
Commissioner Hargrave?
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. The motion carries.
Thank you, board, and I appreciate your time and everything you do for the city of Glens Falls.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman.
Good
Have a
evening.
nice evening. Diane, are you still out there?
Yep, I'm here.
I know we had talked when there was a lot more snow on the ground as it relates to your fence. Have you had a chance to meet with Chris and discuss options? Or I know, Chris, you were going to do that, and I know you've been incredibly busy.
I was going to, and then the transition, it was a bad month, planning board, zoning board here, and no. And then I missed the agenda.
Yeah.
So Diane, I would gladly, if you want to meet, pick a time, or if you want to call me tomorrow, we can set up a time to come out and see what we have. I'll gladly, and then try to take care of this.
Yeah, I would really like to get it taken care of. It's like, with summer moving on and,
Yep.
of course the dog's getting older and we're kind of You know, we planted grass, we've done everything, and we just kind of, you know, stuck right there.
All right. Yeah, I think that was the plan we had said at the last meeting, and now that knock on wood, I think we have all the snow that's thawed and all the snow that's going to come. So let you and Chris meet and see if there's some sort of a compromise that would work for all parties involved here. And then we'll take this back up at the May meeting, is what I would anticipate. Any other questions from any other board members? All right. With that, if there's no other questions on your end, Diane, and you're good, you'll meet with Chris. Chris, thank you.
Yes, I just need to get his phone number. I have nothing.
You have something to write with?
I do.
518
Uh-huh.
761 3848.
Anytime tomorrow's good, Chris?
Yes. I'm in a Zoom meeting from 10 to 12, but there's an answering machine and a secretary also there. So
Okay, thank you.
anytime the 10 to 12 would be best.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
With that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the April 19th, 2021 meeting of the Glens Falls Zoning Board of Appeals. Do I have a second? Commissioner Rice, you look like you're about to
I'll
second.
second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and have a great evening. And thank you, Peter, for putting this on.
Two
Take
jobs.
care.
Thank you all very much. I hope you have a great.
Have a good night, everyone.
Take
Yeah,
care.
see you, Matt.
We'll see you.